What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online as usual. Then we have a new Mogul property out. That's why I'm wearing the Mogul hat. It's the Lando. This just came out 18 hours ago as a VIP launch. At least that's when I got it in my email. It's a Padsplit in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the things I like a lot about this Padsplit is it is a duplex, former duplex turned into co-living. So even though it's 12 bedrooms, we only are actually having 6 bedrooms per unit of the property. Now, it might not be divided evenly in half, but I always worry about putting too many bedrooms in a single family home. Well, we're already a multifamily property here, and so it makes me it definitely reduces that worry for me quite a bit. Let's see. So I'm sure you're going to be able to tell throughout this video, I am still not feeling awesome, but the Mogul properties have been selling out super quick, so I don't want to sleep on this and not get something out about it. Like what happened with the Watts. The Watts Watts, I'm not sure. Anyway, it sold, within 30 minutes of hitting their website, and so I didn't even do a due diligence video, so sorry for dropping the ball on that one. But so what do we have here? It's very much what we've come to expect. 9.2% cash yield year one. Let's see, 14.5% average yield, 14% levered IRR, 2.4x multiple on invested capital. Very much in line with what we've come to expect from them. It does seem like we maybe are creeping down slightly on the average, but mid-teens, still very happy with a return like that. One of the things I noticed a change in their language here. So they do have, let's see, it has multiple years of operations as a Padsplit, strong historical performance, so strong confidence in their numbers behind their underwriting. One thing that they didn't say here is, which we normally see from them when they have historicals, is that they are projecting, oh wait, are they doing it here? Post-fee income. What we don't see them saying is that the post-fee income is lower than historical, right? Like that's one of the things that some of their properties that have had historical income, they've said, hey, we're projecting even lower than that. Here they told us we have 3 years. We're very confident in the numbers, but they're not saying we're coming in low. So I'm not really sure about, what to think about that. This is a comment, and they've seen it in one of the other ones. I think it's kind of funny. They say, hey, this opportunity was brought to Mogul off market, but was $22,000 below listing price. Well, if it's off market, they shouldn't have a listing price, right? It's not listed. So I think they just mean that was the asking price, or maybe it was formerly listed. I'm not really sure, but that's just kind of funny wording to me. So I wanted to point that out. But yeah, not saying that this underwriting is below the historic makes me think they're not shooting low on this one, that they're just like, hey, we've got 3 years. We're just going to say we're doing that same thing. I'm not sure. I mean, they could even be projecting above it. I don't know. I don't know if that was an intentional change in their language and they're still doing the same thing, but that's what it looks like to me, right? It looks like maybe we're not actually shooting low like we have been on some others. So let's see about the property, 12 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,134 square feet. I do want to thank both Ike and Brad, both of you guys doing a lot of work in the Discord, sharing links with everybody early. I think it makes my job a lot easier, but it also, I think their Mogul thread is our most collaborative thread as far as due diligence goes, right? Everybody, whenever there's a new property, there's a lot of people talking about it. There's people sharing info and whatnot. I appreciate that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in the description of this video, I have a link to a Discord I have set up. We talk about fractional real estate investing across multiple platforms. I have links to every platform in the description to this video. I have links to every platform where I'm currently investing in fractional real estate. Please feel free to use those links, but do your own due diligence on the platforms and any properties that you happen to buy on there. Just because I am or am not using a platform or buying particular properties doesn't mean that you should. Some of them that I have invested on, I'm not putting any more money on. Some I'm taking some more off. So you want to really be diligent. Don't just don't just assume because it's something that I'm talking about and that I've bought into that you should too. Okay, so let's see. What else? So, we've done a whole bunch of Atlanta properties. I'm not going to do the Atlanta market, but I thought, might as well look at the Zillow home price trend because, Ike shared it with the Discord. So, and it's something I look at most of the time. This is a rough one over the last year, right? This zip code prices went down 10.7%. That's probably the worst 1 year number I've seen in a while doing any of these. You can see that actually moves us well below, the 2022 peak. Zillow forecasts over the next year, a slight increase though. Really don't know this shape here is, we've come to really expect it, right? Had a little peak. A lot of them have come back up, but now we have quite the downtrend in this zip code. And I don't know, one of the things is these are always median home prices. And so sometimes it's just a reflection of a change in size of homes, more smaller homes selling versus more larger homes. That's especially true though in markets that have a lot of new construction. I don't know that that's the case in this zip code. I'm just not sure. But, interesting to see, okay, there was a big dip and, but Zillow thinks it's going up. I'm not sure what's going on there. So, I want to jump into the easy ones first so I can close some tabs. We did, I mentioned this as a duplex that, they said it, I did see this in the public records. Wait, am I looking at the right one now? Why don't I see it? Oh, I told you this might be a rough one today. Sorry. Oh yeah, right here. Brick duplex, 1955 build. So, pretty old property. They don't have the beds and baths right, but if you recall, we have asked Mogul before, hey, what they've shared that part of their due diligence process is always verifying that it is, they have the proper permits in place to operate it in the way that it is, right? So if they added new beds and bathrooms, they make sure that work was permitted, all of that. Because Mogul has, time and again done well for me, and I've only been investing with them since December, but because they've always answered questions well, and I've never caught them making some huge mistakes that I think that they're trying to, because they've just really developed a lot of trust with me. When they tell me, okay, this is our process and these are the things that we check, I don't dig into that now because I think, one, it is very difficult in most counties and most cities to actually verify that stuff, especially if you don't have an interest in the property. And so they tell me that's part of their process. I trust that. Same thing about how they handle the home inspections. I don't go through their home inspections anymore because I know that if there are major issues, they're not going to close unless they either get a credit or they get them fixed. Understanding what that process looks like makes it easier for me to move forward. Now, if sometime in the future, facts come to light that makes me believe they're skipping some of those things, then I'm going to really ask for more documents and follow up and be sure, that these things are happening on every single one. But so far, I've been very happy with my portfolio on here, and I think they seem professional. They seem to do, they're all this. Whenever I've asked them, it's always something that they're on top of. So, something else I wanted to mention about this one: it's a very large lot, right? 0.39 acres. So we'll see. It looks like there's quite a bit of space to park, which is always important, right? So, all right, let's close that up. Checked the FEMA flood map. That looks good to me. I did not see any shaded areas, and I let this sit here a long time because sometimes the shaded areas don't load. Looked at the spot crime. Oh, what's going on here? I always get a pop-up if I leave this one sitting here too long. This is Atlanta, and this is very indicative of a lot of the spot crime maps that we see in Atlanta. What is this? Is this an actual shooting? It says shooting, but let's click on the more info. Yeah, shooting, stabbing. That's interesting. Is it one of each? Investigating a shooting, male with gunshot wound to the wrist. Don't love to see that. Let's see how far. Oh, why didn't that? Did I just break my computer? What is going on tonight? It's moving slower than my brain. Okay. Remember, I always like to see how far back in time was this? Okay, well, for the number of crimes, right, they are showing basically 2 full weeks, and it's pretty spread out. So this is actually not a terrible crime map for a lot of the pad splits that we've seen, right? I mean, there are oftentimes in areas that have a little bit worse maps than we're used to seeing. Of course, a nearby gunshot wound in the last 2 weeks doesn't make me feel great, but it isn't, it's not in the immediate neighborhood because it's kind of back behind there. I don't know that I showed you a map yet. Let me show you. I mean, it's not what you really think about as like, if you, it's surprising when you have like these sort of spread out wooded areas that you have a lot of crime, but I mean, we're just, that's just reported somewhere over here, so not too far away. I don't love it, but it's not, it's certainly not the worst crime map that we've seen. I don't know. So the other thing, I've started using this map quite a bit more as well, which is this neighborhood scout heat map for crime, and kind of lets you understand like what the crime is like relative to other areas nearby. And this right here, this Beecher Hills section is where it fits into. And you can see, okay, it's not the darkest shade. It's like, I think it's the second one. So it's pretty bad compared to the area as a whole, right? They have this listed as most dangerous. And so yeah, not ideal, but it is not in the absolute worst sections either. So, I don't know. It's one of the things in a lot of the pad splits especially tend to be in parts of town, because it is the absolute cheapest form of housing, right? You're renting just a room. It's an all-inclusive, pay by the week rental. And so there's, in general, that you expect the demand to be in not necessarily the nicest parts of town. And so even though, I don't want to be somewhere where I'm actually, scared for my guests on a regular basis, or the members that stay in the property. At the same time, I don't think that I'm not expecting these to be in, these lightest areas, right? I mean, maybe I'd like to be a little bit lighter, but for me, this isn't a deal breaker, but it's something you really have to think about, like if it is or not. Let's see. So we got that. This is the aerial view, right? And let's just do a little street view. I don't know if you guys can tell, my computer is struggling right now, and I don't know why. Oh, and now it's trying to do this stupid drawing thing. I don't know if you can see that when it does that. The screen recorder tries to let me draw on here when I click on certain things, and I don't know, it always locks it up. Man, am I whiny today, right? Sorry about that. All right, so this is the property. There is no street parking, so, because we've got a bike lane there, so that's not great. But, I mean, you can just see this is just a large area to park cars. Are you going to put 12 cars there? I'm not really sure, but this is, I think they mentioned 0.2 miles from a bus stop, right? And we know the pad splits, a lot of people are using buses. In the, when we checked the pad split listing for this property, this says Venetian Hills though, but wait a minute, am I looking at the right one? Let me just double check the pictures. I'm pretty sure that I am. Yeah, this is the same property. Yeah, 0.2 miles from a bus stop, 0.3 miles from the grocery store. So, maybe you're not having everybody use cars. Maybe a lot of the people are using the bus, but also too, okay, parking. There's 4 open parking spots remaining. 0 rooms available right now. So, leads me to believe it's fully occupied at the moment. And there's still, and they have more, not everybody actually registered a car at the location. So parking's good. Access to a bus is good. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like, obviously this isn't great. Like, I'd rather, to really have more crushed rock or like have this be in better condition. But there's obviously enough space though where you can put a lot of cars and avoid, because the parking is one of the main reasons that you might start to get complaints from neighbors. And so having a real nice large parking area is important. All right, I think I've said parking enough times. Uh, One of the things, so, if you've been watching my videos for a while, often if I decide not to buy one of Mogul's properties, it's because I think their purchase price is a little too high. Now they're saying, hey, we got this at a discount. They really wanted 500,000. If you use, the third party sites like Zillow thinks it's much lower, right? 282.5. Realtor, is this Realtor or Redfin? Realtor thinks it's 393,000. Okay, we're getting closer, but still not there. These sites are just, even though it knows it's multifamily, they're notoriously bad at multifamily properties. They just don't get them right. I mean, they're not great all the time anyway, but they're very much bad with multifamily. I don't really know why that is. One of the things is you get all these rental listings out there that have one half or the other half, and so then sometimes they have like a messed up description, although that seems like it understood the number of beds and baths. I'm not really sure. Are we even looking at the right property? Yeah, I told you this was going to be a struggle today for me. I just want to make sure that's the right address. 1580. Yeah, 1580. Okay, it is. So both of those say that's that it's way too high. I don't love that. But I'm going to go dig into the comps. But one, I want to also make sure, do we have, looking at the wrong one here. Do we have the appraisal contingency in the contract? It's one thing that they always have some form of appraisal contingency. There have been times where they've had, let me just search for appraisal so we can, yeah, okay. Let's go one more time. There's only 2 spots in this contract where it mentions appraisals. So let's show. That's about entering the property. Oh, I bet you this is one that is using a financing contingency instead of actual. So let's look for that. And if we don't find this pretty quickly, I'm going to go ahead and pause it and find it, because the buyer does not obtain mortgage fund. Nope. Okay, so this would be a click for no financing contingency, which implies that they have a financing contingency. Yep, okay. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second because I'm not as familiar with this contract as I am with others, and I want to make sure that I'm not telling you. All right, sorry about that. We do have both financing and appraisal contingencies, and then even some modifications to those. When I was using the Control F, it just wasn't searching all the documents, and so we've got here. We have 21 days for each of those, where I guess that's not the standard, so that's why they're adding some extra language there. From the approved lender list, should be valid reason to terminate unless the buyer also makes it. Yeah, so we have those contingencies, which always makes me feel a little bit better about the valuation, but I certainly still don't want to overpay. And so one of the things I always check is their comps. And this time, I think it's much more important because when we're looking at multifamily properties like duplexes, which is what this is, right? And it, sometimes they're trying to compare to these multifamilies, even though they're not really. But I mean, this is really a multifamily property, right? It was a duplex. Now it's 12 bedrooms. And so they've provided 3 comps. If you look on the map, none of them are in the same neighborhood, but a lot of times, it's not like single family homes where you'll just have a ton and you can always use those for comps. They're pretty spread out, but they've got one south, one to the north of it, one to the east. I should have left that heat map up, but it's not like, it doesn't look like they just went into like significantly nicer areas or something. They're really just like looking at, okay, what do we have? And I actually just looked at these to see, these are all, I think they all show up, yeah, with just recently closed. Now, does that guarantee that this is the price it closed for? I don't think it does. I don't, in each state this is handled a little bit differently. I know in Texas, we are definitely not publishing the actual sale prices on a lot of these third-party apps. But anyway, okay, we had 490 here, we had 457, we had 474, and I think those are actually the numbers they're using in their comps. Yeah, so straight from there. Now, we have seen in Texas, they're sometimes using info in this section that doesn't match up with what I have in our MLS. So, is this accurate, or are they just pulling from what Zillow says? Is Zillow accurate in that area? I don't know the answer to that. But in general, that gets us right to our purchase price, right? I mean, very close to it. Or we're slightly above what those averages are. But you can see we actually have a lot more square feet than those do, too. So I feel pretty good about this valuation, despite the Zillow and Realtor thinking that it's overpriced. So let's see, that's not too bad. Yeah, this is where the comps are. I do always like to look at the yield, right, as far as oh, that was one more thing. Where did I put it? I closed that tab. One more thing we're going to look at. Because I have noticed they've picked up several in HOAs that was very surprising to me that they did that, and something that I've tried to avoid, out of abundance of caution about, where the HOAs can shut them down with a rule change. Normally I think we would see that in this section here. I don't expect these properties to have a HOA when it's built in 1955, but I wanted to just double check. I don't believe that it has one. Does our contract? I already closed our contract too. I warned you, right? Did I warn you this was going to be a rough one? I'm not doing a great job today. I'm sorry about that. If that's not the case, if I'm wrong about it, I'll put a note in the comments below when somebody corrects me. That's what I always try to do. I'll put, do a pin note in the comments, and then I'll also sometimes do a correction video if I'm way off. And so it doesn't look like that's an issue. I don't think this is an HOA. I do want to back out their refinance assumption just to be sure, because they're assuming that they're going to be able to refinance at 5% interest. Is that going to be true in the future? I don't know, but I like to see, okay, moves our average yield down slightly. I think it was 14.5, so it went down slightly. IRR down slightly again. I'm perfectly okay with both of these numbers, right? So I don't think that we even need this. I understand they think it's, a pretty reasonable assumption, and I do too. I just don't like to do it. If you've watched my channel long enough, I'm very conservative in the way I like to make projections and look at the future income of a property. So yeah, I think that that refinance, it's not doing a whole lot of work for this deal. And I think that was the last thing. Let me just click through, make sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to tell you about this. I mean, this one, we've done a lot in Georgia, so I didn't go in, or in Atlanta. I didn't really go into that. I just had this page up to let you see, like, you can see a lot of the listings that come up when you search are like, okay, this address, but just apartment A. I think that this is part of the reason that you start to get some bad data with the with multifamily properties on these sites, is because I think they get confused sometimes about what the property actually is versus just with the single family homes. It's the data is cleaner for it. I did this. You know what? Did we do? We took a little walk, but I wanted to just do this a little bit more. Because this is something that is. It is, when I see neighborhoods like this that are spread out, and it's always surprises me when it's this type of neighborhood and you have a decent amount of crime. Like normally I think of like, okay, you've got homes all stuck on top of each other, a lot more dilapidated homes. Um, I don't know why. I think that's just been my experience. So obviously you can have, different outcomes everywhere. But I didn't see any place where there was like a lot of graffiti or a lot of broken down vehicles or not a ton of dilapidated homes. So yeah, there's our home again. But when you look at the crime map, it is what it is. So like if I had just looked at this, I would have guessed it would have been significantly better than it was. Let's actually look where I want to look is where that. So let's see. Let's zoom in there again, and look. So this is the neighborhood where we saw that gunshot reported. Let's see if it looks. I mean, it doesn't look any different, right? So I mean, I don't know. This could have been something in a home. It could have been a domestic situation, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just fooled because this kind of looks like where I grew up, and we didn't even have cops in our town, and it never really became a problem. So, because it was like out in the middle of nowhere, lots of trees, old homes. I don't know. Yeah, I'd be really fooled if you had asked me to guess. I would. Oh, is that a broken down vehicle? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's not on blocks or anything. But anyway, that's it on that. Yeah, like I said, just kind of want to wrap it up on this one. Just kind of highlight my concerns. So one, yes, it's not a great crime map compared to some of them that we've seen. It's better than others, but it's, kind of on the fence about that. The only thing about the income, predictions that worried me a little bit, yes, they have 3 years of operations, but they changed their language to where it doesn't sound like they're trying to underpromise and overdeliver on this one, right? They're just like, we've got 3 years of info, and we're confident in what we're predicting, versus we're gonna predict something that's below our current run rate. So that's one concern. One thing I think that makes it a much stronger deal is it was a duplex before it became. So there are 2 kitchens. I don't think I mentioned that. I really like, 12 bedrooms is a ton for one property, but there are 2 kitchens. It's 3 baths. So it is the maximum, bed to bath ratio that Padsplit will allow, right? It's the 4 bedrooms, 1 bath. I don't love that, but I do really like that it is. Do we have any bathroom pictures? I don't remember seeing the bathroom pictures. Oh yeah, we do. So yeah, not amazing. Yeah, that's 3 of them. But so yeah, not the best bedroom to bathroom ratio, but like I said, I do like that it is actually multifamily. It makes me less worried because we just have 6 bedrooms per unit. And then yeah, even though valuation wasn't great when we look at the third party sites, when I look at their comps, they make a lot of sense to me, right? And I'm not an expert in this market at all. Maybe you could find cheaper duplexes and they're cherry picking a little bit. Sometimes it has seemed like they've done that in some markets. I think the worst example of that was one of those Houston ones where we were just looking at every comp was from another neighborhood, even though you could see sold homes in our neighborhood. It doesn't seem like that's what's going on. I think it is just like there's just a lot less sales of multifamily. So am I going to buy some of this one? That's a tough question. I really, the bedroom to bathroom ratio thing, I know it's something that I like the ones that have the better ratios. Obviously, though, this has been operating. I don't love that they didn't say, they just said we're confident in what we're projecting. And I do, you know, I think that they're good at that, and especially if they have 3 years to go off of. But I'd really like them to say what those 3 years look like compared to what the projections are. Um, it seems like plenty of parking, good access to, the bus. I think if I didn't have quite a few Atlanta pad splits already from them, I'd be more excited about buying this one. But I already do have a decent amount now. They're doing well for me, and so I don't know. Do I want to pick up another one? I was really hoping to get one of the Houston pad splits, but so far I haven't. I've had a lot of issues with those that I think were bigger risk factors. So I'm not as excited about this one as I have been about some of their other pad splits. That's one of the things I notice, especially because we've had a lot of fast sellouts, that it seems like there's a bunch of people that are like getting nervous about missing the next one and missing the next one. We've seen at this point though, Mogul just keeps pumping out good deals, right? And even though I'm saying like, I'm just not sure I want to add this one, I don't know if this is above, what I'm doing is I'm trying to really cherry pick from the deals that they're putting out. Because one, I don't need to put a ton of work or a ton of cash to work on any of these at the moment. And I am really just trying to experiment with the platform. So why not just, pick the ones that I'm the most excited about, see how they do. So far, it seems to be working pretty well. I have been happy with my whole portfolio. There are a couple of the short-term rentals that haven't been doing as great as I'd like. And there is one pad split that had a rough month or two. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to buy a piece of this one. I don't have any like real red flags or reasons why not. I mean, I don't love that there was a gunshot, reported pretty close to. I mean, that's the only thing about, if it weren't for that and that just being very close to this property, that crime map didn't look that bad to me, like overall, so you can tell I'm waffling quite a bit. Probably because it's 5 a.m. and I haven't been to bed yet. And, well, I mean, I kind of have been. I bet shouldn't be doing this. I don't think anything I say from this point forward is going to be useful. So, thanks for watching until now. If any of you guys have dug up any better, or, usually I like to have some real good ones, like say, okay, these are the reasons I wouldn't want to do it, or these are my biggest concerns about it. I really didn't come up with much on this one. Oh, excuse me. So, if you could share your concerns in the comments, like, hey, what do you think the biggest issues are going to be with this one? And I also didn't mention, I have no idea what the Lando means, right? Are we starting with some Star Wars stuff? Lando Calrissian or whatever? That's the only Lando I'm aware of. It looks too much like Landa for some of us fractional real estate people. That company caused a lot of trauma especially for some people's portfolios. Some people that are in our Discord, let's be careful. Let's not name stuff that's so close to, a company that's just lost people a bunch of money. If you don't know about that, check out some of the news about Landa, right? And I don't know, maybe they're slowly coming back. Ooh, excuse me. We'll see. Yeah, I think I told you everything useful I'm going to about this one. So, until next time, I just keep thinking that there's going to be something important that I wanted to tell you that I can't remember, but I really just think it's my sleepy brain. So until next time, I'm just going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.